Week 9 of the college football season has come and gone, and we definitely have some interesting topics to debate today. Some teams got some crucial wins, others suffered some tough losses, and some possibly even saw their college football playoff hopes completely come to an end. With all that being said, we are back for another episode of Locks and Longshots. We got the boys back here today to talk about it all. Josh Bartosik, Dylan Price, Justin Chevalella. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing good. Very cold up here in Minnesota now. I'm not really prepared for the next few months, I don't think.
I'm tired. I mean, it's as apparent as ever. We were talking about it off air, but I've been fighting demons these early mornings. Thomas, I give you all the credit in the world. Shout out Paul Ciliberto, one toe down, but still, he gets up every morning. I give him credit, man.
Yeah, I can't say I'm complaining. I'm on vacation right now. I'm up at the lake house. This is what I did this afternoon. I caught a fish.
Wow.
Which was pretty cool.
I don't know if I'd call that a fish, man. What were you fishing with? Like a half of a worm?
Hey, baby steps.
He caught bait. He caught future bait.
Unfortunately, I gave my brother the bigger fish to reel in because he's more of a fisherman than I am. But I'll take that because I still got on the board today, and that's what matters. I'm having a great time. Thomas, no one ever asked the host how they're doing. I hope you're doing good.
I'm doing fantastic.
Well, I didn't ask how you were doing. I just said I hope you're doing good. You didn't have to go into it.
I'm doing good. Guys, tonight is the sports equinox. We have all four major sports playing tonight. NBA, NHL, World Series is on tonight.
And instead we're podcasting instead of watching.
Well, with the NBA, I bet there will be some fun stuff going on. I think there will be some real good stuff.
I gotta go to later that Chauncey Billups is running. So I'll be a little bit
that's a good point. But
that's a big gamble, Dylan.
Well, let's make sure that you can get to that poker game. So let's get right into it. A quick recap of this past week. Michigan victorious over Michigan State, and Michigan did move up in the poll. All of us got that one right. Texas did beat Mississippi State, although it was a little closer than I think people thought it was going to be. We all got that right. Baylor could not beat Cincinnati. We won't talk about who got that one right. BYU did beat Iowa State. That was a pretty good game. Good matchup there. Josh did not get Iowa State correct. Houston with a nice win over Arizona State. I'll tell you what, the Big 12 always surprises people. Shout out Justin for getting that pick right. And also shout out Justin in our group of 5 matchup that we picked this week. USF fell to Memphis in what was thought to be a big group of 5 playoff spot implications there. So Justin got that one right.
Don't leave me on an island. Bad things happen when you do that.
Well, here's you leaving you on an island. Illinois lost to Washington.
I wanted to pick Washington.
So Washington gets the win there.
Half a point, or are you going to throw a stink about it?
No, I'm just
trying to add the half a point again.
Wait, hold on.
Here's that half a point, by the way.
Here's another island. LSU lost. Justin picked LSU. The rest of us picked A&M.
Hey, they did more than lose. And if I helped get Brian Kelly out of there, then LSU fans, you're welcome.
I think LSU fans would take this week as a win because they
arguably maybe I should get half a point here, guys.
No,
that one actually.
I would almost do that one with you.
I thought about it.
Vanderbilt gets a nice win over Mizzou. Bo Perbula, our beloved Bo Perbula, goes down potentially for the rest of the season. I heard some reports that possibly could come back. Regular season, maybe bowl game, something like that. But Mizzou definitely going to go to Matt Zollers as the backup. Ole Miss with a nice win over Oklahoma. Lane Kiffin jawing with the Oklahoma defense afterwards. Gotta love it. Gotta love the fire from your head coach if you're Ole Miss, because you may not have him for very much longer. And that is your weekly recap for this week. Dylan and Justin both go 7 for 10. Josh goes 5 for 10. I went 8 for 10. And the big winner of the week, Grant Sheets, goes 0 for 10 because he didn't make his picks in time.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. I mean,
him, actually.
Yeah. But there was a lot of headlines. Obviously, you guys mentioned one of them. LSU, Brian Kelly is out. Florida, Billy Napier is out. So I think that's going to be a headline of a couple of us, but I want to keep the headlines a little bit shorter today because we have some interesting things to talk about in our top 25 poll. So Josh, you're on the bottom right of my screen. I will start with you. Give me a 30-second headline.
You're going to have to come back to me because my headline was going to be about head coaching. So I'll think of a different one before we get.
It can be.
Nobody was stopping you, Josh.
Yeah, no one was stopping.
I'll go because
except the lemonade. The lemonade was stopping him apparently.
No, okay, well, no, fine. I'll go. This is easily the most lucrative head coaching market that I think we're going to see possibly for the next long future, and that we've seen in a very long time. I mean, you have at least 3, I would call top premier programs, at least one blue blood. I'd call LSU a blue blood. I wouldn't call Florida or Penn State those, but you have at least 3 premier programs that have head coaching openings. And it's probably, if you're Penn State, you got the ball rolling, you're probably in the worst position possible. But I think that we are in for a very hectic next few months. I mean, it's probably going to start in the next few weeks, I would assume. But hang on to your hats because this is going to be some crazy coaching carousel going on.
Dylan?
I'll bounce right off Josh's. The grass isn't always greener, my friends, and it's funnier that there is green involved in this. Brian Kelly was 34-14 at LSU. That's actually pretty solid, but within the SEC and with, as Josh just coined, a blue blood program that has top tier resources and has that consistent expectation of greatness every year, that's just not gonna cut it. If you wanted that, you could have kept Coach O, and I think the fan base would have been a lot happier. They failed to score 24 points more than just once this season with a quarterback that all 4 of us had amongst our top in all of college football at the start of the year when we did our predictions. And the most important piece of this entire puzzle is he didn't just lose the team, he lost the fan base. I mean, that fan base was out of there. The ones that stayed to boo him. It was a hard watch. And I think that's kind of where Brian Kelly's at. And I think the difference between him and Billy Napier and him and James Franklin is that James and Billy can go somewhere else, and I think they'll get a job. And I think that's what I have kind of disagreed with some of the media that have said Brian Kelly's already going to roll into one of these high-profile openings. Yes, as Josh just said, it's one of the most lucrative markets. And sorry, I'm going to go over 30 seconds because I have been the most animated about Brian Kelly. This might be the most lucrative to getting a job, but I don't think that he's going to be able to get the same level of credibility with fans and recruits that he once had. How are you selling any top-tier program on Brian Kelly after he just bounced from Notre Dame to LSU and arguably made them worse? Well, on the other side of things, Notre Dame has gotten stronger from it, and Marcus Freeman has went from an assistant coach to one of the top coaches in all of college football, a national media darling, and his players and fans love him. So how are you selling, James Franklin, you could still sell that to a program and to their fan base and to recruits. You could still sell Billy Napier at a non-Power 4 school, maybe even some lower level Power 4 schools. I don't know if you can sell Brian Kelly to a Power 4 school at this point. I think his head's not in it at this point. And I think where Brian Kelly actually best fits is probably working for NBC or CBS or Big Noon next year, and getting into television. I don't think he's super likable. So I think he'd have to kind of play that Urban Meyer-like role, and kind of be the villain of a set. But look, it's done wonders for rehabilitating Urban Meyer's image after everything that went down in Jacksonville. And I think that's the root for him. But my grass isn't always greener point is 1, Notre Dame's had a lot more success since he got out of there. And then 2, Steve Sarkisian, rumors are he might have interest in the NFL. Lane Kiffin has been the hottest name in this coaching cycle, as he is every year. Kalen DeBoer, there's been rumors, despite Alabama being a wagon right now. Eli Drinkwitz, there have been rumors. Even I'll throw another name out there, despite them losing this weekend. If you're Alex Golish, if the money's there to stay at USF, why would you leave? Why would you leave a program that you have the ramp to get to a playoff every single year and becoming a legitimate threat like a Tulane or a JMU year in, year out to make noise and possibly make the playoffs? So I think as we get into this lucrative market, as you said, Josh, I think the reminder needs to be there that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, because we just saw that with Brian Kelly, and we saw a guy go from one of the top coaches highly regarded in college football to I really do think it's going to be tough for Brian Kelly to get a Power 4 job, and be able to still recruit and still sell a fan base at the same clip he once did. So sorry, I know it's over 30 seconds, but I was ready because I've been banging the drum against Brian Kelly for some time now. No personal beef against him. I just think this is a guy who's been dejected and hasn't been himself since the moment that he stepped foot on that basketball court at Louisiana State. So.
Yeah, the moment you have to fake an accent to fit in down there, I don't think that's necessarily the best look. I wasn't originally going to stick with the coaching, but I think the more you guys talk about coaching, I'd like to add a headline just because I think we're forgetting it. as much as this is lucrative from a coaching perspective, this is possibly the worst year for a university to be looking for a head coach that we have seen in a while. I mean, besides just add in the fact that, obviously there's big names out there, LSU, Florida, Penn State. I mean, you could even go a little further. UCLA is a storied program in college football. Virginia Tech is in the same boat and adding money to their athletic department. They are going to be a big name. So, yeah, of course, this is great for the coaches. But if you're a team that, like Florida State with Mike Norvell, that's thinking about firing your head coach, if you haven't already, you're already behind the 8 ball. And if you're a team that Penn State that did it a little early, you might be second guessing now because you're not sure your first candidate that you were thinking is going to be there, because now LSU is available and now Florida is available and there's more schools coming. And it's just, to me, almost a point of, do you want to just keep your coach and see what happens? There's no coordinators right now in college football that are sticking out above the rest, right? Like Dan Lanning was a couple of years ago for Oregon. I think the most notable too, Will Stein and Brian Hartline. I personally can point to both of them and find flaws in what their resumes are. I think Oregon fans are very upset right now with Will Stein and how that offense has been running nothing but screens basically all year. And if you go on the Ohio State side with Brian Hartline, he had a chance at offensive coordinator. They took it away from him for Chip Kelly last year, and now he got back to it this year. So he's had an up and down coaching career, and they still haven't played anyone, massive outside of that first game against Texas. So I think it's a horrible time from a university perspective to be chasing these coaches, especially you add in the fact that, you have your candidate, Josh Bartosik, there, and you've got him for $10 million. He goes up and calls Florida and says, heck no. Florida's now offering me $11 million, and now you're getting in these bidding wars. I think from a university standpoint, this is going to be a rough time to try to find the right head coach for your program.
It has completely flipped college football with the transfer portal and NIL. Not only do you have to worry about paying players, you have to worry about paying coaches, where in the past you weren't really worried about paying coaches because you figured they weren't going to move very often. I think you guys kind of talked about everything with the coaching realm, so I'm going to kind of go away from that and mention we haven't really talked about the group of five and how close that race is right now for the college football playoff. I mean, it seems like every week we are talking about a game that could decide who is the front runner for that group of five spot. This week, we're going to talk about Navy and North Texas, both already with 7 wins and making a great case. Last week, it was Memphis and USF. A couple weeks ago, it was Boise State and UNLV who had a chance to go out and make a statement. So I think the group of five is going to be interesting to watch this year, because last year you kind of knew right away after a few weeks, midway through the year, it was going to be Boise State. I mean, they were just so dominant with Ashton Genty. So I think it's going to be interesting to see who emerges from that tight group at the top, where you have a bunch of teams at 6-2, a couple at 7-1. And that's going to be interesting to watch. So I wanted to go there just because I felt that everyone else was going to talk about coaching, which did happen. But you guys hit it on the head. I mean, this is going to be, I feel like we can say it's going to be fun for us to talk about and going to be a lot of good content for us because these coaches are going to be making some bread. And it's going to be interesting to see where they go.
This might be crazier than the transfer portal.
Yeah,
and how
honestly,
honestly,
it might be because you have some of these big names in there. So with that, we'll leave it at that, and we'll get into what I think is going to be kind of the heart of today's episode, because we have an interesting top 25 poll. We posted it earlier this week, and it has a new number 1 team. Now, I do want to preface, 2 of us had Indiana, 2 of us had Ohio State, so technically they are tied, but I felt it was more fun to give Indiana that top spot. And by our formula on our sheet, for whatever reason, Indiana is ahead of Ohio State. I don't know if it's alphabetical or what, but Indiana is number 1. Ohio State drops to number 2. Then everything from 3 to 6 is relatively the same. Alabama, Texas A&M, Georgia, Vanderbilt. Then you have Ole Miss, Oregon, Georgia Tech, and BYU inside the top 10. Then right outside, you have Notre Dame, Miami, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Tennessee. Then you have Louisville, Missouri, who fell a little bit. Cincinnati's up there, Virginia, Michigan. And then your 21 to 25, Houston, Texas, Navy, Memphis, and USC. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about the number one spot really quick. Not really quick, sorry. First, and then we're going to dive into some other things, and I'm going to open the floor to Dylan afterwards because I know he has a couple of grievances against all of us, really. But first, I want to lay it over to Justin or Josh or both, and they had Indiana as their number one team. Dylan and I had Ohio State. I want to open the floor for Indiana in favor of Indiana first. Go ahead, boys.
Yeah, I'll go first here. I think what it came down to for me is watching that game on Saturday, right? The UCLA Indiana game. Look, I understand what you might think of UCLA and what these preconceived notions are, but this was a UCLA team that had played about a month straight of good football since they, moved on from Deshaun Foster, since Tim Skipper, not Jerry Neuheisel, took over at the helm for UCLA, and Indiana manhandled them. And I think that led me to realize that this wasn't a one-time thing against UCLA. This is an Indiana team that has basically dominated every opponent outside of one by the name of Iowa, who I gave a vote to this week, not because they kept it close against Indiana, but because they're 6-2 and deserve it. But Indiana has dominated opponent after opponent. Obviously, most notable would be a 10-point win against Oregon. If you watch that game, I think it felt more like a 17-point game than a 10-point game. The Illinois game where they beat them by 53, that's an Illinois team that, at the time was ranked, right? And an Illinois team that was not just ranked, but near the top 10, if not in the top 10, depending on whose poll you used. This is just an Indiana team that has cruised. And I, for a while, didn't want to believe it. But then, I believed it this week because I saw it happen yet again. And for Ohio State, I don't think they did anything wrong this week to negate them from the one spot. I think part of why I had them there this year is because they hadn't gotten that hiccup. They hadn't gotten to the point this year where, they, I guess kept it close against a team, but they also haven't really played anyone to the level of, that Indiana has. And I know you can point to that Texas game, but that's all the way back in week 1. Texas has fallen out of the top 25. They've gotten back into the top 25. I just see it as these teams are really interchangeable. But right now, Indiana's, I don't have the stat, right? But their point differential has to be much higher than Ohio State. And I think they've played better opponents overall. So that's why I made the change this week. Obviously, I think it can flip. Like I said, interchangeable. But this is an Indiana team that's got the Heisman at quarterback. As much as I love Julian Sayin and what he's doing for Ohio State, there's still something there that's missing. And I think that's seen in a couple of these games. But right now, Indiana's flat out the most impressive team I've put my eyes on this year.
Josh, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, and that was going to be my point too, right? Is that when it comes down to these polls, the way that I see it is that I make mine based on resume only, right? And in my opinion, Indiana has the better resume, not just by the fact that they are dominating opponents. And Justin, you're right. You look at the point differential. Indiana, 363 points for, 87 points against. Ohio State, 255 points for, 41 points against. So obviously Ohio State's defense, and we've talked about it, it's probably the best in the nation, seemingly has been for the last few years, especially. However, regardless of that, this Indiana team has a better resume. That win out on the road at Oregon, like Justin said, felt more like a 3-score game than a 2-score game. Is probably at this moment besides Bama's win at Georgia, I think it's the biggest win in the country right now. That is an impossible place to play. That's a very good Oregon team. I know people are, not necessarily down on Oregon, but they're questioning their credibility because of the fact that Penn State has fallen off. I still think that win on the road at Beaver Stadium has maximum value or near maximum value. That's, at the time that was still a top 5 team. And we've talked about it a couple times on this podcast that I think that game broke Penn State and turned into the turmoil that they have right now. Similar to how maybe, Georgia Tech's win against Clemson did the same thing. Who's really to say? But Indiana has looked fantastic. No disrespect to Ohio State whatsoever. Their defense has been remarkable. But my thing, kind of going off of what Justin said, is that Ohio State pretty much in every game this year has started slow. They've started slow. And whereas it's an Indiana team that, besides the Iowa game, which it's always tough to play on the road at Iowa, especially against a defense like that, they haven't. They've come up guns a-blazing. They just put up 56 last week to a UCLA team that has been on the up and coming. So I think the way that Indiana starts and finishes their games is a lot more complete than what Ohio State has been doing recently. I still think they're very interchangeable, but given the resume that Indiana has shown me, like the stats don't lie, Indiana is playing like the better football team right now.
I think my point, and I know Dylan's having some technical difficulties right now with his camera, so I'll go with Ohio State. I think the difference, and I would agree. Like when you look at the matchups and you look at how they've played, I would say Indiana has looked better, right? Like I think, the way they have won has looked better, but at the end of the day, Ohio State, I feel like they never look like they're not in control. For me, I look at that Illinois, a common opponent. That's a good way to measure it. Illinois hosted Ohio State. Indiana was hosting Illinois. I think you look at it, Illinois scored 16 points. It was 34-16 Ohio State. Yes, Indiana put up 63 points or whatever they did, but they're at home. It was, one of the first weeks of the year. That was a good win, but I wouldn't say it was, I wouldn't say Ohio State didn't control the game. So I would think that win would kind of be equal in this sense. I understand, Indiana put up a lot more points, but at the same time, putting up points doesn't mean, putting up points is an obvious, clear way to show that you're in control of the game, but holding your defense, holding opponents to 5.9 points per game for Ohio State, that shows that you're controlling the game. And I understand the offense is lagging behind a little bit, but Julian Sayin is still a Heisman contender. Jeremiah Smith is still having a good year. Like, it's not like Ohio State has faltered in any games. And I think when you especially look at their last, your last three, really, I mean, even their last four, Washington, they go into an environment where some people thought maybe Washington was going to give them a run, 24-6. They go in, they beat Minnesota 42-3, the Illinois game 34-16. And then again, Wisconsin, a tough environment. I know Wisconsin's not very good this year, but a tough environment, and they shut them out at home or on the road, excuse me. So I just think when you look at it, Ohio State and Indiana, I think they're neck and neck, but I think Indiana has not done anything to knock themselves off the top position. So that's where I would say Indiana feels comfortable at 2 right now. Not that Indiana being at 1 is a bad thing. I just think, how can you fault a team like Ohio State who has a common win over an opponent? And I understand that Texas win, doesn't look as great. I mean, it's still a top 25 win right now on our poll, but at the time, Texas was the number 1 team in the country. So I think you have to value the wins that Ohio State did get and the way they've controlled the games. And I don't think you can punish them just because Indiana has looked better. So I'll give it to Dylan to kind of explain his reasoning for Ohio State.
I'm going to say something very nice about Curt Cignetti, gentlemen, and I know that shocks all of you. Again, I said this. My relationship with Curt Cignetti, even though he doesn't know who I am, same with Brian Kelly, is vastly different. They're the way I view both of them. I am going to say something nice about Curt Cignetti in the fact that he coaches like I play college football 25. You run the score up. You want to win a Heisman. You want to win the awards. And then in this day of college football, I'm really not that impassioned about it. I fall in the same boat, I think, as you, Thomas, where I think his results working. Like it's creating the exact discourse that he wants when he runs up the score in these games, because 2 of the 4 of us are sitting here going, yeah, that's a reason, man. They're not taking the brakes off. They're throttling these teams. Ohio State's doing the same thing. They're just doing it in a, not to kind of now take back what I said about Curt Cignetti, but a little bit more of a dignified way. They're shutting you down. They're putting forth complete controlled victories. They're providing opportunities to get other guys reps. They're keeping their guys fresh. And I guarantee you it's going to show at the end of the season. This is an Ohio State team to me too. Now the second part of this, heavy is the head, gentlemen. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. They were the number 1 team in the country a year ago. They won it all. They are still the reigning, defending, undisputed national champions. And I know in a world of college football where roster turnover is incredibly palpable and every single roster has a number of different faces, Ohio State had significant roster turnover. Yes, the 2 best players arguably in the country, and Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith, are still there. But elsewhere, they had a lot of turnover. This is a different team, and this is a different Ohio State, but the result is the exact same. Complete, controlled, dominant victories, 2 new coordinators, same result. Matt Patricia's been phenomenal, as Thomas mentioned. They're doing a great job on the defensive side of the football. Offensively, Julian Sayin doesn't make mistakes. Complete, controlled, dominant victories. I think we're splitting hairs here. I think I'm just upset because we're not going to get to see them face off until they go to Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship. But I think the ways in which they're winning games is different, but it's by design, again, to get 2 of the 4 of us having the conversation and saying, wow, Indiana's been throttling these teams. And when you look at the resume, I don't think there's some stark contrast. Obviously, we pinpoint the Oregon win in Autzen, but I think Ohio State has an opportunity here. If they can go in at the end of the season and take down Michigan, get that monkey off their back, get a ranked win. At that point, I think Michigan could be a top 15 team potentially if things break their way. And I think right then and there, that would solidify them heading into the conference championship week as the undisputed number 1 team in the country. Still, by the way.
I see what you're saying, but I also, especially about Indiana running up the score. But I mean, Indiana was up on Illinois 35-10 at halftime. They were up on UCLA 35-3 at halftime. You got to play these games out. And I understand at times towards the end of games, maybe he doesn't need that extra touchdown. But to me, it's domination, start to finish with a couple extra points there. I think if Indiana beat Illinois, 45-10 or whatever, instead of the 53 or 40 even, it'd be the same boat for me. But I certainly see the argument. And I think this might be a classic case of Ohio State's got probably the number 1 defense in the country. And you can make the argument that Indiana's got the number 1 offense in the country. So you're picking what you value more in college football. For me, I think you need to score points, right? I know defense wins championships, but you also need to put up points with your defense for it to win. And that could be what it comes down to. I don't think there's a wrong choice. And I think Thomas also introed this by saying it best. These teams are technically tied by our votes. He happened to put Indiana first so we could get this conversation stirred up.
Well, yeah. And I think at the end of the day, we're all kind of in the same boat where either one of these teams could be number 1 and they're very interchangeable. I just wanted to hear both sides on, why, because obviously, it's easy to look at common opponents. It's easy to look at how wins have aged in terms of an Oregon win versus a Texas win. But I think it's also interesting to say, like, at the end of the day, these are going to be college football playoff teams. They will likely, unless something crazy happens, be the Big Ten championship matchup. So we will see these teams head to head, and that will be definitely a good matchup for sure. I want to give the floor to Dylan now, not for too long because we have some picks to do, but Dylan has some issues with each of us, he said earlier. But first, we all 3 had an issue with Dylan earlier that I just want to come to the forefront before he goes in and attacks us. For those of you who see Virginia on your screen at number 19, 3 of us had them right off the bat.
No.
No, you're getting it wrong. You're thinking Cincinnati.
Or Cincinnati.
Virginia, part of my point.
Justin didn't have Virginia.
Apologies. Cincinnati.
And I still don't.
So number 18, Cincinnati. Dylan did not have Cincinnati on his.
Despite it was not by intent.
Did he not argue about the Nebraska-Cincinnati thing and then left Cincinnati?
So much.
Left Cincinnati out.
By Minnesota. Cincinnati has grown as the season's gone on, and they have one of the best and most underrated quarterbacks in the country.
Now I want to say this was
flowers.
This was before we solidified our top 25. So we do want to give Dylan some credit. He did go back in and change it. But I'll now open the floor to Dylan with his grievances towards our polls. Go ahead, Dylan.
I needed to go back and pull up our text to be exact of why I was so angry at you guys. First and foremost, Justin, week in, week out, you continue to have the most baffling polls. To sit here and stand on a soapbox and talk about how Indiana's your number 1 team in the country. Yet a week ago, you were with me having Alabama ahead of them as the number 2 team in the country. And then all of a sudden, Indiana just vaults to number 1 because you had some warm and fuzzy feeling because you beat your wonder kid, Jerry Neuheisel. I don't understand where that came from. I'm sorry, I'm talking here. You're in Michigan. Calm down. So I don't know where that came from. But again, you still have the most baffling polls. Virginia beat Louisville in Louisville, and yet week in, week out, you are now – first it was banging the drum with me on the phone saying, oh, I'm going to put them ahead of them. Louisville looks better. You know what? You might be right, and Louisville's defense is really, really good, and I will give you that. They passed the eye test. They look like the better team, but the two teams played head-to-head, and yet for some reason you went from not just putting Louisville ahead of them to you have UVA out of your top 25 every given Saturday. And we're talking about, even if his team is a mess right now, one of the greatest coaches to ever don a short-sleeved hoodie on a sideline in Bill Belichick, and they almost pulled off the upset at home. So for you to sit here and penalize UVA because you just have some vendetta against the Cavaliers, I thought you enjoyed your time to Charlottesville when we went out there, man. I thought it was a pretty good time. And
he's a Hokie fan at heart.
Oh, Josh, you're not immune to this.
Hey, Dylan, I think I would love to allow Justin to respond right now, but I think, Dylan, you go right through it, go to Josh and I, and then all three of us will get a chance to respond after.
So I'm going to Josh's. And you did correct it, so I can't get too mad at you.
I did the same thing you did. I forgot.
Yeah. I don't know if you forgot. I think you like Illinois, my friend. You had Illinois creeping around in the back end of your top 25. And then the last one here, Thomas English. And honestly, this goes for all three of you. What is with Ole Miss being behind? I got them being behind Georgia, but I'm looking at obviously our general poll here has Ole Miss behind Vanderbilt. Justin has Ole Miss behind Georgia Tech and Notre Dame. I'm sorry. Again, Justin, let's have some consistency here. You were banging the drum against Notre Dame a couple weeks ago about, remember the 2 losses. Now you got them. They're ahead of Ole Miss. Ole Miss has got one flaw on the resume. They lost to Georgia in a very tough game. So, and then you also have Georgia Tech there. Miss me with that until I see a big statement win from Georgia Tech, although I do like them. And you guys all are sleeping on the Ole Miss Rebels by not it's disrespectful. Thomas, I kind of get your justification to an extent. Josh, yeah, you're the only one who's sane of this group, and I appreciate you keeping Ole Miss where they should properly be as one of the top 7 teams in the country. I, of course, have them at number 6, as do you. That's my rant. Really not too much. I just like to stoke the fire. But Justin, have some consistency, my friend. Just like Tommy needs to take some chances, you need to be a little bit more consistent.
Then you just switch personality.
Justin, hold on, Justin. Hold on. I'm going to go really quick just because Dylan, the only grievance he had was I didn't have Ole Miss high enough, and I would like to justify. I gave Georgia Tech and BYU the nod because I want to value undefeated teams at this point in the season. So I feel like that's a fair point. I'm going to be honest. I feel like Ole Miss has better wins overall than both of them, probably combined. But I wanted to value an 8-0 team versus a team with 1 loss. I understand it was a very good Georgia team, but Oregon.
Wait, then why is Navy 24 for you? Shouldn't they be higher if they're undefeated?
Because that's a group of 5.
Now someone wants to get on my Navy take. It's about damn time.
After this week, I was going to say Navy was in regardless. But I think I value the group, obviously a Power 5, 8-0 better than a group of 5. Vanderbilt, I mean, Vanderbilt to me, Ole Miss and Vanderbilt have both beat LSU. Vanderbilt just got a win over Missouri, who is ranked. And I know the South Carolina win for Vanderbilt doesn't look great now, but it's still a ranked win at the end of the day, technically. At the time, I believe South Carolina was 13. So that's my justification for Vanderbilt ahead. The only one I can see your point on, Dylan, is Oregon. And at this point, my only response is I genuinely don't know how to rank Oregon because their only quality win right now is Penn State, and we don't know how to rank. And I simply don't know how to value that Penn State win at this point in time. So I can understand the frustration with the Oregon thing. The only thing I want to say about Oregon is I have not moved them from the 6th spot in 3 weeks. So I feel like there's some consistency there I haven't changed my thoughts on them. But I hear you, but that's my justification. I'll give it to Justin next.
Yeah, Tommy.
Josh didn't really have anything to respond to. I just took some.
Tommy, I was going to respond to
Thomas. I'll come to you first to back Dylan on the Oregon point. Look, I understand what you want to say about you don't know what that Penn State win is, but it's clear as day. If you watch that Penn State team, that was a good football team heading into that game. Oregon knocked the life out of that program, and that's what happened. That Penn State win is a very, very good win. Anyway, Dylan, I think
are you backing Oregon ahead of Ole Miss, or
let's see? What do I?
he's defending me having Oregon low because he also
Yes,
has Oregon.
yes, I have Oregon lower than Ole Miss.
Gotcha.
But then you're going to value the Indiana. Never mind. Sorry.
Okay.
I was going to say that doesn't
Dylan-
really make sense
Dylan,
there, does it?
I think you are a very smart, intelligent young man, and I really do appreciate. I do appreciate your opinion.
Here comes the other shoe.
But sometimes I think that you just maybe missed some college football games this week. You're telling me that I was banging a drum about Alabama last week. Did you then watch what Alabama did this week?
Any given Saturday. It's a tough place to play.
They beat the preseason 13 team.
Yeah.
Be fair to Dylan, there is voodoo in South Carolina Stadium, and every year they find a way to beat some team in the top 20, and like the top.
You know
15.
what? And the eye test is a beautiful thing because that's what I see here. I watched them. I watched Indiana this week. I didn't watch Ohio State because they were off this week, and I watched Bama this week. And the eye test told me what I did was correct, and I'm just going to stand on that. I'm not going to go to that point. You want to fight me on UVA? Good, fight me. I honestly just forgot about them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not like you guys. I left Virginia out for a reason. If you guys have actually looked at my ballot, I have been lower on UVA than all of you for quite some time now. And I am doing this solely because I don't think their resume, I don't care 7-1, right? Or are they 6-1? What are they? 7-1?
7-1.
I don't care if the record shows 7-1. If I can look at these games and say, I can look at them and be like, yeah, 7-1 is 7-1, but you have to look at what got them to 7-1. This is a Virginia team that what's their impressive win? Louisville. I'll give it to them. I'll give them Louisville. I will say that is a
Florida
good
State
win.
at the time was top 10. But you can't negate the fact that they were a top 10 team when they beat them.
You know what? Yeah, sure. If you want to go that way. But again, we're ranking these based off what we think is the top 25 and what we see. And whether you take resume into account, whether you take history into account, whether you take the eye test into account, we all see things differently. And the last 2 weeks, I have been dropping Virginia, not because of beating Florida State, and definitely not because they beat Louisville, but because of the way they barely beat Washington State and the way they barely beat UNC. Those are two of the worst teams in power in the, I guess previous Power 5 because Wazoo's no longer in it because they're in the Pac-2. But you just have to watch these games to realize UVA is not a top 25 team in the country. 7-1 record. I don't care. Look at that one loss too, NC State. I mean, go ahead. Go ahead.
Watch it.
I can tell you that I take in what I watch, the offense, the defense, the special teams. Anytime I put my eyes on a football game, and I can tell you my eye test is seeing a worse and worse Virginia team since that Florida State win. Yep, I ranked them high afterwards, and I kept them high after that Louisville win, but I have seen a Virginia team that is going down, and I will tell you, you'll all be joining me sooner rather than later. And no, I'm not saying that my poll is predicting the future. I am saying that it will, again, what I've watched will all further come out, and you guys will see what I was talking about, just like when I had Penn State lower than Oregon weeks ago, and y'all screamed at me for that one. So I
don't disagree, though. You can put the eye test as a part of that conversation because that was the big basis of our argument about Indiana, Ohio State. But you're sitting here banging the drum about the eye test. Again, if you put a gun to my head right now, I think Louisville is a better team, a more well-rounded team than UVA. That's fine.
Do the stupid head-to-head thing again because Cincinnati's at 18. You're going to put Nebraska at 17? Okay. All right.
That's a completely different circumstance. Nebraska got upset by Minnesota.
And now we're adding little circumstances to everything.
You're sitting here arguing about an eye test. Watch the game, Justin. They beat Louisville.
Games. I watched the game.
Washington State was a field goal away from tying Ole Miss, making that go to overtime. And then on the other side of things here, it's a gritty UNC team. They got nothing to play for.
Now we're throwing adjectives.
Okay, Dylan,
okay,
I'm on your side.
Hold on.
You cannot call UNC
a
gritty football team.
Now we're throwing adjectives to make teams look better. Oh, they're a gritty UNC team. No, they are UNC. I don't care if they're gritty. I don't care if they're should all be working at McDonald's. Whatever adjective doesn't change what I had seen with my eyes.
Okay.
What I will say about you brought up UVA's one loss being to NC State. Number one, don't throw shade at one of my teams like that.
We're not. If these are the points you're going to make, we're going to mute you.
Okay, not too much from the peanut gallery down there. Let's start with that. Number 2, you have this is that Virginia NC State game. I know you definitely didn't watch that game, Justin. I did because I had nothing better to do. So if you want to talk about watching games, Virginia was at NC State's 8-yard line. Chandler Morris just threw a bad interception with 35 seconds left. They were going to win that game.
Adjectives in front of interception too. Here we go again.
That's what you
no interception.
I put a verb in there too. He threw it.
No interception is a good interception. So whether you put bad or nothing in front of interception,
regardless,
it still affected the outcome.
But here's my thing. You have argued in favor of Notre Dame because of the fact that they should have beaten Texas A&M.
Not should have. I never said they should have beaten those teams. I said they lost to those 2 teams by a combined 4 points, and that was what I said. So let's not mince my words here.
I'm pretty sure at some point you brought up the fact that they should have won that game.
I have said if they don't drop that kick, snap, they most likely win. But I have never said they should.
And if Chandler Morris doesn't throw an interception, Virginia's most likely 8-0. So we can play the hypothetical game all you want.
We can grade what we've seen, and what did we see? UVA beat Louisville. There we go, my friends. That should be why UVA is at the very least.
All right. I think. I'm going to put an adjective here. I think doing a top 25 poll is
this experiment is bad.
We have interesting top 25 polls. I'll give you that. Is that good? But at the end of the day, some people rank it based on what they see on the field. Some people rank it based on what they see in the win-loss column. And I think we said this every week. That's why we like doing it. That's why it's kind of fun to mess around with it and see what we get. But obviously, a heated debate today.
To make it more maybe valid. We should get all of our listeners to kind of vote too. We should add them to the vote, and then we put it all together.
Yeah, we could do that. Maybe we'll put out a vote next week.
A fan vote.
Yeah, fan vote for next week, and you guys can tell us what your thoughts are because definitely am interested to see. But with that, I think we'll table the poll talk for next week, and let's get into our picks for this week. Try to fly through this a little bit with these first 7 games. Only 3 ranked matchups this week.
Every week.
I know, but we're going to actually do it this week, I promise. Record update for you. I was the only one who missed the lock last week again. So here is your updated point total, and it is neck and neck. Dylan leads with 44. I'm right behind him with 43. Justin has 42, Josh has 41, and Grant has 45. No, I'm kidding. Grant has 32 points, our little Grant. But record-wise, Grant is at the bottom at 34 and 36 after another 0-10 week. Josh is 39 and 31. Dylan is 42 and 28. Justin is 43 and 27. And I am 49 and 21. And before you say anything, we have to decide, do we want somebody on this podcast to be right, or do we need to just start picking random picks? But with that being said, let's dive right into our picks. I want to kind of fly through these first 7 games so that we can talk about the last 3 and get to our long shots a little bit quicker today. So first game, Navy in North Texas, a big group of 5 game. We know Navy likes to run the ball, 28 rushing touchdowns, 7 passing. Navy does lead the country in rushing yards per game at 318. They average 37 points per game. But North Texas, first in the country in scoring, 46.1 points per game. They average nearly 500 yards per game, which is 5th in the country. Both teams have 7 wins so far. North Texas is 7-1. Josh, who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, look, I love what Navy's done. I love the story of Navy, but this is too much offense, I think, for Navy to find a way to win this football game. I mean, you look at what North Texas has done. They've been fantastic. Drew Messmaker, I believe he has 24 touchdowns, 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the season. He's been fantastic. Their one flaw is against a USF team that I still think is pretty good. So I think North Texas spoils the undefeated season for Navy.
Dylan?
The best freshman quarterback in the country to watch right now. Most exciting, fun. Also, they have the coolest uniforms. Their coach is probably going to get poached. Mestamaker is probably going to get poached as well. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. They're a really, really good team. Navy's fun to watch. I love when Navy's at least in the conversation when we get into November. But let's be real. They've got this game coming up where I think North Texas is going to pull it out. And then you also have to face Notre Dame, USF, and Memphis coming up. So the fun Navy undefeated run. This will probably be the only week in our top 25 left. So yeah, give me North Texas.
Justin?
Yeah, it's been a fun story with Navy, but the simple matter of fact is both these defenses aren't as good as they should be. And what that spells is trouble for Navy because of how high-powered this North Texas offense is. Drew Mestemaker's been incredible, 21 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. They're running back in Hawkins, Caleb Hawkins, that is, another freshman. They've got a young, talented core of offensive pieces. They're just going to be too much for Navy. Give me North Texas.
I like all the points you mentioned. I mean, obviously, this is a tough little stretch here for Navy. And North Texas, all the talent in the world offensively, and 46.1 points per game. That's insane. 500 yards per game. I think that's like crazy impressive, especially for a team like North Texas. But I know they say everything's bigger in Texas, but who am I to root against my country? I'm going to pick Navy in this one. And see if they can get to 8-0.
Thomas, we did want you to take chances. We want you to take chances, but you should make more calculated than that.
No.
Why?
I need to catch up. He can do this.
Listen.
That's fine.
Justin, every week that you have, banged the drum for Navy, you said, in your locks and long shots as well, you've always gone against your country, which
That's
a little
Dylan.
concerning.
Time out. That's Dylan that keeps going against the country.
No, didn't you pick like Air Force or somebody against Air Force?
I picked again.
No, that was Dylan.
Yeah, it's actually been Dylan.
Was
and
it
I
Dylan?
said
That's the second time that you have gotten their points mixed up. Are you okay, Thomas?
It's all right. Well, I know somebody in this call has been going against their country. I'm not. Give me the Navy midshipman in this one.
Let's
all right,
not
let's
out like I'm some anti-American.
Well, you guys all just
what I see on a football field.
Okay. All right, let's move on to another game. Number 13, Texas Tech, who is 7-1 on the road to play Kansas State, who's 4-4. Wildcats are hot. They've won 3 of their last 4 in conference play. They scored 34 or more points in those games. Texas Tech backup quarterback Will Hammond is out with an ACL injury. Barron Morton, the starting quarterback, is supposed to be back after a knee injury, but they're saying he could be somewhat limited. Avery Johnson has been really good in his last 2 games, 7 touchdowns, no picks. Josh?
Yeah, I don't really care how hot Kansas State has looked. Texas Tech is still, in my opinion, they're going to find a way to win the Big 12. They'll be top 10 by the end of the year because their one mark on the resume is losing in the last minute with a backup quarterback in a hostile environment to an Arizona State team that can't really decide who they are week in, week out. But Texas Tech is still one of the best teams in the country. This game's not even going to be close.
Dylan?
We're trying to fly through. I concur.
Justin?
Barron Morton's back. I don't care if he's limited or not. Barron Morton's back. Give me Texas Tech.
You guys are making this hard on me because I really want to pick Kansas State.
Then do it.
Now he does.
Now he wants to take chances.
No, listen, because my point was going to be we saw what John Mateer did when he came back and how he's looked from injury. And honestly,
he couldn't hold the ball. It was a wrist injury, not a leg injury.
Actually, it was a thumb injury.
And at Texas Tech, if you have a limited quarterback, it makes it a lot harder to really open up the offense with the running game and things like that. I just think, I'll pick Texas Tech here, but
no, pick Kansas State. Pick Kansas State. Do it.
I'm going to do a Chevy and say everything's telling me to pick Kansas State, but I am going to pick Texas Tech.
Thomas, really quickly, if it makes you feel any better, Oklahoma's never had a run game, even with John Mateer fully healthy. Texas Tech has had all kinds of offense, regardless of who's at quarterback, including the run game. So,
well, right, but I still think an injured quarterback.
It helps, but
is never a good thing for a team. I feel like regardless of what you have. So I'll take Texas Tech, but everything in me wants to pick Kansas State. We will move on to our next game in the Big Ten. Number 23, USC, 5-2 on the road to play at Nebraska, who is 6-2. One team could be heading the wrong way after this game. Dylan Raiola is averaging 159 yards per game in the last 2 weeks, but he does have a 70% completion percentage. We know USC in the last 2 years has not done well with multi-time zone travel games. They're 1-5, but these are 2 high-scoring offenses. USC is 42 points a game. Nebraska's 35. Josh, who do you like?
Yeah, what you just told me with that Dylan Mahomes stat is that he's a check down merchant right now. And Matt Rule, after losing to Minnesota, is probably already 1 foot out the door, regardless of where it's going to be. I don't have any faith in this Nebraska team anymore. I haven't really had any faith in Dylan Raiola a lot. And I just really like USC still, regardless of the fact that they've been, fluctuating in and out of the top 25. That's still a very good football team. I think Lincoln Riley finally gets, that monkey off his back about the multiple time zones. I think USC proves that they deserve to be in the top 25 and get a big win on the road.
Thomas is joining on his phone now, and it's changed.
It's a lot different.
The layout of this screen. It's really freaking me out. I lost my point.
If I flip it, hold on.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
New angle just dropped. A new background for Justin. What a show, guys. We like to keep it classy here. Anyways, if Nebraska can force USC to play their brand of football in a night game in Lincoln, this could be a different game. As you said, Josh, this is an offense that isn't really taking a lot of chances right now. Dylan Raiola, I think, doesn't really want to get burnt. That was a kind of sluggish game against Minnesota. It wasn't one that it was really it didn't feel like a Nebraska team that was embodying the year 3 Matt Rule jump because you don't lose games like that. And I disagree with your point that he's out the door either way. I think the only way he's out the door is if he's going to the 8-1-4. Otherwise, he's going to be there in Lincoln a lot longer to continue to kind of rebuild this program. And I think that comes with bad games like Minnesota, but it also comes with losing these ranked games. And if there's anybody outside of James Franklin who struggled more in ranked games, it has been Matt Rule. Now, we have yet to see him see it through one of these full resurrections. Maybe this is kind of a turning of the tides, but I think USC is really good. I'm glad they're back in the top 25. I think they truly are a top 25 team. Your only really glaring losses, the tough one against Illinois. That's one you want to burn the tape from. And nearly were able to still pull out the victory. And then, of course, Notre Dame, which we all think Notre Dame's a top 10 team. So, yeah, there we go. I'm going with USC. It's pretty cut and dry.
I never said Notre Dame was a top 10 team, but continue.
Yeah, I don't think it's all cut and dry, and I don't think there's actually such thing as Matt Rule year 3 because he never makes it to year 4. So I'm going to go in a different direction here. Look, this is a USC team that I think is very good, right? Sorry, wait, I can't put adjectives on these teams. I think this is a USC team, and this is a USC team that lost to Notre Dame. They lost to Illinois. You guys are both right. Those are opponents. I can't say good opponents or good losses, but there's certainly teams that gave them their run for their money in those games, I guess is the way I'm going to put it there. But I think you also have to look at some of USC's other wins here. They haven't been, I guess, as impressive as people have made them out to be, myself included. I will say that I was very high on USC, but they've come back down to earth. And I think you brought up the stat 1-5 when you cross multiple time zones. That's something that's tough to change. USC's 2 losses this year are in that situation, to Illinois and to Notre Dame more recently. Sure, they're coming off the bye, but this is a Nebraska team that is hungry for a win in front of their crowd, a big win, that is, and not just a win. And this feels like it could maybe cement Matt Rule to year 3 and potentially beyond. I have Nebraska upsetting USC in this one.
I hear you. I like your points.
Well, I hope you hear me. If not, my audio might not be working.
Won't be the first time.
Won't be the last.
Yeah, right. I think Nebraska is a good team. I think they have their problems offensively that's going to hinder them in this game, especially with USC being such a high-scoring offense. And simply, I predicted at the beginning of the year that USC would go over their win total. I believe it was 7.5. They have an interesting stretch here where they may not. But I think they get on the right foot here with a win in Nebraska. A tough win, which, could be a big one to kind of start the snowball running down the hill. So give me USC in this matchup. All right, we'll move on to the ACC. Number 15, Virginia is 7-1. They're on the road to play Cal, who is 5-3. On the road, Virginia has played in very close games, as we mentioned with UNC this past week. Every game that Virginia's played on the road has been decided by 4 or less points. So keep that in mind. The Cal quarterback, the freshman, no idea how to say his name. I'm going to be honest with you.
What type of host are you?
Well, try it. Go ahead. I'd like you to try it. I know Jaron, is that the first name? And then from there, I'll try it. All right, ready? Sagapolutele.
We'll give it
That's
to you.
actually probably pretty close.
All right.
I'm looking it up.
Regardless, he has no interceptions in his last 2 games as a freshman. So the Virginia offensive line has struggled at times, 6 sacks last week. And as we mentioned, both teams are coming off of narrow wins. Or excuse me, Virginia's coming off a narrow win. I do want to put it out there that Cal did beat UNC 21-18. So both teams beat UNC by a narrow margin, Josh.
Sagapolute.
I feel
was
like I
close,
was
actually.
involved.
You were
You're
close.
pretty good, Thomas.
Pretty good. You know what, Thomas?
I wasn't even going to
Probably.
attempt it, but I'm glad you guys gave me the
You
compliment.
should
I'm
get
glad
half
you
a
took a
point.
chance.
We're-
I'm glad
and
you
we're
took
just
a
giving out
chance and
half
did it.
points.
He's taking a couple of chances. He picked
Well-
Navy. He's taking some chances. He wanted
Well,
to
if
pick
you were
Kansas State.
broadcasting a UCLA game, you would have had to take a chance on every play with Nico Iamaleva to whatever the
Iome
receiver.
Lava. I don't know.
That's not even remotely close. Not even in the same district.
Yamaliamo, right?
Yeah, that
That
guy.
one, yeah.
Whatever.
Now let's do Uyangalele, right, Justin?
Yeah.
Uyangalele. I love that.
Oh, was that
Make
from one
it
of your
fish.
trips you guys went on? Wish I could have gone.
It is actually, yeah. Fun
Yeah, I
fact.
figured Big Ten
Can you get to
championship.
the
I'm well
game,
aware.
Joshua?
You guys got distracted. Look,
ACC
this one's
Bartosik.
this one is so tough because this is a Cal team that
Why is it tough? I thought Virginia's the best damn team in the nation, the way you guys talk about them.
Nobody said that, Justin. We just said
Guys,
they're a
I
top
said
25.
they should be undefeated. I said they could be undefeated if they didn't beat a terrible Dave, if they didn't lose to a terrible Dave Doran team. Let me get to my point. Jeez. This Cal team, I've been so high on multiple weeks in a row. I'm actually pretty sure that I've used them the most in locks and or long shots. Every time I use them as a long shot, it does not work for me, including last week. But you know what? I'm down on points. I need it to happen. I need this. Give me Cal over Virginia. I don't care.
Oh, Josh.
We've been
Dylan.
doing this show for like 10 weeks now, and locks and or long shots.
Yeah,
That's
what?
not the
No, because I've used them as a lock. They've got me. I've used them as a lock and gotten it right. But every time
How
I
did
use
it
them as a
go
long
last
shot,
week
I get it
against
wrong.
Tech?
That was a long shot. They weren't favored, and I lost.
Dylan, make your
That's
pitch.
what-
Thanks for tuning in
I-
to locks and or long shots here. Anyways,
That's not what I said. You guys didn't even listen to me. You guys suck. I've used them in both. I was making a point, and you whatever.
Justin, would you like to make a friendly wager?
Oh,
I'm not picking Cal if that's what you're going to try to do here.
Wow. So you're going to put all this hate out there about UVA and
Of
their
course I
tough,
am.
their gritty loss to North Carolina, and then not sit here and give them the respect they deserve. Or you are going to give them the respect they deserve, but not give them the respect they deserve in the poll. Anyways, yeah, I can't not. I just banged the drum for UVA for like 5 minutes yelling with Justin. So for me not to take them would be, kind of contrary to, everything I stand on. Listen, Daniel
Man
Rickards
of
going to
integrity.
Okay. Daniel Rickards going to play himself into an NFL draft slot. He's got 5.5 sacks this year. This isn't a UVA team outside of Jamari Taylor that really jumps off the page. To Justin's point, I will give him that. But again, they continue to find ways to win, which is one, why I'm going to take them, and two, why I have them in the top 25. So give me the Cavaliers.
Justin.
Yeah, I got to look this up again real quick. Jaron Sagapolute has been sacked 11 times over his last 3 games. In that time span, he's also thrown 3 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. If this was any other team, I am probably picking against UVA, but the simple matter of fact is Cal is dealing with a freshman quarterback and having some issues with it right now. I have Virginia. I think the cross-country road trip could cause issues, but I think UVA is good enough to beat a 5-3 Cal team that struggled over its last 5 games, specifically protecting its quarterback over the last 3. So give me UVA.
I love how Thomas brought up the fact that he's thrown no interceptions in the last 2 games, and Chevy goes, "Yeah, well, he's thrown 3 in the last 3." So
Yeah, because I'm
That
sure
all
that
came
third
against Duke.
That third game, I'm sure, yeah. Hey, that's a Manny Diaz defense, though. I mean, that's a tough defense.
I was high on the Manny Diaz defense till I watched the way it played this season.
Yeah, well, that's true, especially that Illinois game.
times.
But I think you guys all make good points on both sides. A freshman quarterback is always tough, but they always feel more comfortable playing at home.
Say his name. Don't just say freshman quarterback.
Sagapolute.
Sagapolute, is that what you said?
We run a
something
real
like that.
tight ship here at Locks and or Longshots.
Dude, that's not even what I said. I said I've used them as a lock and or long shot multiple times, which is a factual statement because I've used them as both. So whatever.
But I think the Virginia offensive line had really struggled recently. 6 sacks last week, like I said. You know, they're going to need to keep their quarterback upright and or try to, you know, run the
And
ball
or
a little
long
bit
shots.
better. Yeah.
Not what I said, but
But at
keep
the end
that
of the
narrative.
day, Virginia beat UNC in overtime by 1. Cal beat UNC by 3 without having to go to overtime. So give me Cal.
No, they're gonna lose now.
Well,
They're gonna lose now.
I'm going to be honest. Going into it, I was going to pick one of Cal or Kansas State. I talked myself out of Kansas State, so I'm going to take Cal against Virginia. And I'm going to allow Justin to predict the future, and Virginia drops out of our top 25 next week. Let's move to the SEC. Number 5, Georgia, who is 6-1, on the road to play Florida, who is 3-4. I feel like every time Florida's at home, we just pick the game because who knows what Florida can do at home. This series, interestingly, I found this out, used to be called the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I did not know that.
Long name.
I don't know.
We should
Dylan
go.
Yeah, honestly, we should. Georgia leads the series 57-44-2 all time. Dogs have won the last 4. Both teams are off a bye week. Florida no longer has their head coach with Billy Napier. And Georgia has won the last 3 meetings by 14 points or more. Josh Bartosik.
Yeah, I know that I don't even want to call it a narrative because it does seem to be a case that teams, after they fire their head coach, do typically play a little bit better in that next game. But it's not going to be the case when you're playing a Georgia team that I think is one of the top 5 teams easily in the country. I think being able to come back from multiple scores against Ole Miss, come back from multiple scores on the road against Tennessee, who we still don't really know exactly what Tennessee is, but I do still think they are a good team. It just goes to show how good this Georgia team is. I think they could, start a little bit slow. They have been this entire year, but there's too much talent on that team. Gunnar Stockton's been fantastic. I'm taking the Bulldogs.
Dylan?
World's largest cocktail party, and you can fit the amount of times that Kirby Smart has lost a game like this on a cocktail napkin. Give me Kirby Smart. Give me this Georgia team. They're consistent. I think that one went over Justin's head, so I'm excited to see what he's got up his sleeve. But, yeah, I'm going with the Bulldogs.
The fun fact is I don't just have one sleeve. I don't have 2 sleeves. I actually am triple long sleeved right now because I was out on the lake earlier fishing.
I have those extra layers.
He caught his really tiny fish.
Like you were out there, man.
So let me pull off the first sleeve and the second and the third. Oh, what does that say? Last time a decent looking team went into Gator land, I guess is the way to the swamp is what I was looking
for. The swamp.
Gainesville and or Gatorland.
was Texas, and everyone said, oh, Texas is going to win, but not me. I didn't. Well, everyone's saying Georgia's going to win. And guess what?
You are too.
I'm not. Wow. Yeah, I'm saying that Georgia's going to win. This shouldn't be close. Okay. And if Kirby loses this, he deserves to be fired.
Whoa.
Yeah, he wants to go to Penn State. Yeah, real badly. There's no way you were comparing Georgia and Texas as similar teams this year. That was going to be an insane comparison.
I think
I just wanted to do the chomp again down in Gatorland.
Yeah. Gainesville and or Gatorland is going to be rocking regardless of how this one goes. But I think Florida will come out strong. I mean, like you said, Josh, teams come out a little bit, with a little bit of firepower after firing a coach. So I think Florida comes out strong, but ultimately Georgia's just a better team. So give me Georgia. Let's move to the ACC. Number 10, Miami is 6-1. They're on the road to play SMU, who is 5-3. SMU is coming off a very disappointing loss to Wake Forest, where they lost 13-12. Both teams are really good against the run, allowing less than 100 yards per game. Quarterback Jennings for SMU has not been very good the last 2 games, a 52% completion percentage for SMU. Josh.
Yeah, and this one's not really tough. Just the ACC is so weird to kind of predict year in, year out because they kind of eat themselves alive, but not in like a dominant way like the SEC does. I've always said that, it's around this time of year where Miami gets their patented Mario Cristobal bad loss. it happened to Louisville. I don't even know if you can consider it a bad loss because Louisville's now ranked. I don't think it happens here again. I think Carson Beck got I think he got enough interceptions out of the way when they played Louisville a few weeks ago. And I think he got back on track with a win against Stanford. They struggled again a little bit against Stanford, but I think that's just the Miami pattern middle of the season. They look bad, but find ways to win. I think it's going to be one of those games that they do such a thing. So I do have Miami winning this one. It's not going to be pretty. It never is when it gets to around November time for the Hurricanes, but they'll find a way.
Okay, I'll go, Thomas.
Yeah, any day now.
There's a little bit of lore with this game, man. A lot of former Miami guys on this SMU team. Romello Brinson's on this team. Chris Johnson's on this SMU team. Zion Nelson's on this team. And how about a shout here? Shout out Tyler Van Dyke, former Miami quarterback. Everybody thought was the next big thing. He's one of the backups.
He's still around.
And yeah, he's one of the backups out there at SMU. Rhett Lashley was also an offensive coordinator at Miami in 2022. So a lot of lore with this matchup. It's oddly a bit of a rivalry, I guess. I didn't realize this was one, but I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think it feels like it's been 6 years since Miami played and since they lost to Louisville. I think we've all lived like 7 different lives since then. But maybe it was because it was a Friday night, or maybe it was just because it was just kind of one you wanted to burn the tape from. I think they do that, and I think they come out on top here. So take all the connections between these two teams out the window. Miami wins. I think they probably win by 2 scores. Although the atmosphere should be fun out there in Texas.
Yeah, if Miami hadn't lost to Louisville, this was the game I thought they were getting their first hiccup and losing to SMU, but I think Miami learned from that loss. I think Carson Beck had the better performance against Stanford, albeit it's Stanford that we're talking about here in the year that they've had. That this is an SMU team that just lost to Wake Forest 13-12. I had higher expectations for SMU. They failed me, but since Miami has already failed once this season, I don't see it happening just yet a second time. It will happen a second time, just not in this one. So give me the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I think Miami, is definitely a top 10 team. The loss is not good, but I mean, Josh says it a lot of times, losses.
I guess we should probably rank Louisville over Miami if this is how we do things in the ACC.
Oh my God.
You know what? I'm just going to pick Miami so we can get out of the ACC. Give me Miami.
What's wrong with the ACC?
Justin doesn't like it. That's the thing.
The All-Coast Conference.
And I'm going to be honest, this next game, probably most people are not really picking. I feel like a lot of people already kind of have this one chalked up as a whatever. But Penn State is 3-4. They're on the road to play number 1 Ohio State, who's 7-0. We all know Penn State's lost their last 4. Drew Aller is out for the year. James Franklin's fired. And this couldn't come at a worse time. They're facing the top 2 teams in the country in this week and next week with Indiana. Jim Knowles returns to the team that he won a national championship with last year, and he's going to see his defense maybe even better than last year at this point, allowing, like we said, just 5.9 points per game. Jim Knowles' defense has not been great for Penn State, but who knows if one of us will pick the upset. Josh, will you?
If Drew Aller was healthy, I would have considered it, I think. I think the fact that you have Crunkmeyer going into his second career start, he didn't look necessarily great last week. Penn State and Andy Koltnicki, for some reason, are insistent on continuing this dumb 2 QB system with guys that have literally never played now in college football on the road in the most hectic environment they're going to play in this season. Doesn't make any sense. This team, they looked better against Iowa. I'll say that. They had some life. Like we've always said, that when a team fires their head coach, the next game out, they normally come with a little bit more swagger. They're having a little bit more fun playing football. They weren't in the beginning of the season, but it's not going to be fun or pretty this weekend. I think Ohio State steamrolls. It's going to be their biggest win in years over Penn State by point differential.
And or points or whatever.
Keep bringing that up. Just too much yapping from the peanut gallery over there. Just focus on keeping your phone charged.
My phone's not the problem.
It's about to be.
I'm really having a hard time here because Justin and I both nodded our heads when you brought something up, and I know which route he's going with this too. And sometimes we think too alike, and it's very scary. The Jim Knowles aspect of this is really interesting because who knows this team better than Jim. I also got to loop you guys in on a little bit of Catskills news lore. I made a bet here with New York State Assemblywoman Paula Kay, whose son went to Ohio State. If Ohio State wins, she is going to make me wear a Ohio State. At the time, it was going to be an Ohio State jersey all day in the studio. Obviously, some things have changed and some plans have changed. So now it will just be I will wear an Ohio State jersey for a day. But on the other side of that, she has to wear a Penn State button on the floor of the assembly in Albany in New York State. So there's some serious ramifications on the line here for me. I do not want to have to don Buckeye red out there. So I am very much having to bite my tongue because of Jim Knowles and that X factor in this. I really want to pick the upset because why not now? Like this team has nothing to play for. They're fighting for a bowl game. They're fighting for pride. Why not now? Because it would happen. That would be the most Penn State thing. Franklin gets fired. Aller's out. The entire deck has been reshuffled. You're probably going to hire a head coach who probably has some ties to Ohio State, the way things are tracking. And I hope it's Brian Hartline, by the way. I love that guy. I just want to throw that out there. I hope he puts on a show this weekend and Penn State doesn't let him leave not on the team plane. Separate story for maybe our coaching carousel episode. But anyways, that's probably not going to happen. But I really have to stop myself and tell myself that Penn State is not going to win this game because my gut really wants to pick Penn State because Justin and I were talking about it the other day, and this would make it so much sense. Jack Lambert's going to probably come in, and how cool would that be? This would be like Rudy 2.0. It's just, unfortunately, sometimes fairy tales are better to be left on the pages or in the movies, not in Columbus, Ohio. So I'm going to go with the Buckeyes, and I don't feel great about it just because I don't know. I've talked myself out of it, and I also don't want to wear Buckeye red.
Dylan's not going to wear Buckeye red, but him and James Franklin may be wearing Razorback red in a few months here. Justin, who's your pick?
Wow. Yeah, he is not going to go to Arkansas. What a crazy suggestion, but continue.
For the fun of putting it on the sheet so everyone could see that I was picking Penn State, I put it on the sheet. I sat on this show last week or the week before. I don't remember. I also tweeted out, I said Penn State will win one of its next two games. That's against Ohio State or Indiana. Now, if I was a man of my word, I'd pick Penn State here because I don't think they stand a shot against Indiana. But the simple matter of fact is I have to play the game that we are playing, which is who can finish with the better record and picks at the end of the year and the more points. Ohio State is a better team. It has an advantage at quarterback. It has an advantage at wide receiver. It has an advantage at tight end, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, corners, safeties, kicker, punter. Actually, that might not be true. Penn State has a really good special teams unit. The running back I leave up for grabs. Bo Jackson has looked good, but so has Katron Allen. Look, all this to say that Ohio State wins this game. You might see me pick Penn State as my long shot here in a couple minutes, but that will just be to do it for fun. Ohio State's winning.
Yeah, I think Ohio State wins too. I mean, I think does anyone know the spread on this game?
20.5.
20.5.
It opened at 3.5, which is crazy.
I'd potentially put some money on that. Penn State, to cover that.
Can I just have your money then instead of you just giving it away like that?
You bring up the spreads too much, Thomas.
I can't.
He's thinking about the spreads like what you get at a buffet, like a spread of food or something.
All right. Well, Justin, for the record, Justin said he would demolish all of the field burgers.
Yeah.
They look really good. I don't even blame
him.
I also put in our chat that I want you guys to hurry up so I can have my nightly bowl of ice cream while I'm on vacation here. So
never mind.
Nightly bowl as in popcorn bowl. But I'm gonna pick Ohio State in this matchup. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. Ohio State in a big way, but Penn State could cover. Oklahoma and Tennessee, 18 versus 14, both teams 6-2. Sooners defense was allowing 12.5 points per game, but that has increased to 28.5 in SEC losses. Tennessee's offense continues to roll 36.4 points per game. Joey Aguilar has played really well at home, a 173 passer rating, and John Mateer has not looked quite the same after injury. 57.8% completion, just 2 touchdowns and 3 picks since his injury. Josh?
Yeah, again, I alluded to it a little bit earlier. I don't think we're really entirely sure what this Tennessee team is. They're beating the teams they should be beating. They should have beaten Georgia if they hadn't gotten a false start while trying to, get better field position. I think Josh Heupel is probably a bottom 5 clock manager in all of college football. It's been shown time and time again. But I think you bring up a good point about the offense. I think this offense, especially at home, is unreal. I mean, look, they went toe-to-toe with Georgia. That's a very good football team. They kept it close for a quarter and a half against Alabama, I guess you could say. I mean, that's a very good football team, obviously. I do think that we're kind of seeing the wheels fall off on this Oklahoma team. I don't want to say they're dead in the water yet, but I do think that was a demoralizing loss to Ole Miss. They were, back and forth, just couldn't find a way to win. And again, John Mateer hasn't looked great since coming back from injury. And Joey Aguilar, he has been sensational this year, especially at home. It's going to be the blackout, I think, is whatever it's called at Tennessee. I think it's also going to black out Oklahoma's chances of making the college football playoff. I think Tennessee wins this one.
Dylan?
Something's off with John Mateer. I don't think he's still 100%. I mean, we know he's not 100%, but I think it's kind of more of a detriment to them with him in there right now. It's been sloppy. The team as a whole has looked sloppy. And I think the performance on Saturday was good. I mean, they were able to hang with an Ole Miss team that I do think is on a different rung of the ladder than them. But this isn't the same Oklahoma team that, had us talking college football playoff aspirations, had us talking really highly about John Mateer at the start of the season. I like Oklahoma. I really want to pick Oklahoma, particularly for other reasons, because I really wanted to say Boomer Sooner again, but Rocky Time. No, I'm not singing. I'm not in a singing mood. But Joey Aguilar in Tennessee, I feel like they've kind of fallen out of the conversation in a stacked SEC as of late, and I think they kind of come back into focus a little bit, and I think they knock Oklahoma out of the top 25.
Justin?
Yeah, this is a Tennessee team that resume is boosted by losses. Their resume is not boosted by wins. They have beaten Syracuse. They have beaten East Tennessee State. They have beaten UAB.
Right.
They barely beat Mississippi State. They barely beat Arkansas. They beat Kentucky handedly, but they lost to Alabama, the 6th team in the country, or at the time, and they lost to Georgia, also number 6 in the country at the time of that game. Yeah, Rocky Top, the whole situation at Neyland is going to make it tough for Oklahoma. But yeah, John Mateer hasn't looked good, but this is a team that's prided itself in defense. I know they struggled against Ole Miss this past week, but who hasn't struggled defensively against Ole Miss this year? I think this is an Oklahoma team that, sure, they've lost 2 of their last 3, but they need that rebound win. I don't think either of these teams are really that good. I think their rankings are helped up more by losses. You could say the same thing for Oklahoma. The losses to Texas and Ole Miss, when their wins are against South Carolina, Auburn, Michigan, really neither resume screams to me to be a team that actually can compete for the college football playoff. The SEC loves to beat itself up. Tennessee's closer to the college football playoff right now than Oklahoma is. Well, they're going to throw another punch. Oklahoma is going to mess up some things towards the college football playoff implications. So I have Boomer. Nobody's going to say Sooner because I think you're all picking Tennessee. So I'll finish it. Boomer, Sooner, getting the win. I guess that would be an upset on the road.
I do like Oklahoma as a team. If John Mateer was healthy, if the Oklahoma defense had been playing well in their SEC games, I would feel more confident with even an injured John Mateer. I just don't feel confident in this defense right now. Clearly, there's something going on, and I get it. Good offenses, but this is a good Tennessee offense, and you need to play well defensively against good offenses if you're going to claim to have your defense as your backbone. So for me, I think Tennessee offensively is just much better at home. I think the Sooners defense just won't be able to keep up. So give me Tennessee. More SEC matchups. Number 9, Vanderbilt, who is 7-1, on the road to play number 20, Texas, who is 6-2. Highest ranking for Vanderbilt in the AP poll in 88 years. That is quite some time. They have not won on the road against a ranked opponent since 2007. Texas may be without Arch Manning, who's going through concussion protocol. His status is currently questionable, so really just kind of unknown right now. First home game for Texas since September 20th, so over a month since they've been at home. Josh, who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to feel about Texas as a whole. I never have. I don't think I ever will. I really don't know what to say. I think Arch Manning has looked a lot better. I mean, he almost threw for 350 passing yards, I think it was, against Mississippi State, but they had to have a huge comeback in that one. And this team is so hot and cold. I mean, you beat Oklahoma. Yeah, injured John Mateer, but you beat Oklahoma. You struggle. You need overtime to beat Kentucky. You claw all the way back to beat Mississippi State. I don't necessarily trust Texas. I don't know if I trust Vanderbilt on the road. I do love Diego Pavia and what he's done. Given how fun the story is currently about Vanderbilt, I'm leaning towards them just continuing this stretch they're on. I don't necessarily think that Texas really has done enough to be ranked still, in my opinion, for the most part. I think the one win over Oklahoma isn't enough, in my opinion. But I am going to go with Vanderbilt just for the fun, the vibes that they bring. College football is fun this year because Vanderbilt's fun. It was a great atmosphere at College Game Day last week, so I'll roll with Vanderbilt. Go Commodores.
I think Saturday, as you said there, Josh, was really cool because it was a fun day and it highlighted a campus and a school that has been revitalized. And a lot of it has been put on Diego Pavia's shoulders, but I think a lot of it also falls on the fact that, I think the majority of it falls on Clark Lee, who's done an exceptional job as the head coach there. He's built a true program. And I think this is the fun part about this Vanderbilt team is that I think they're going to have staying power. Even after Pavia is gone, I think they're clearly becoming a more lucrative spot in recruiting. I mean, we were all in Nashville. It's a phenomenal city, and I think they're starved for a winning football team right now with how Tennessee's performing. I think a lot of people are latching onto the program. I think you're seeing a lot of celebrities latch onto the program, and I think that was never more prevalent than, or more apparent rather, than on Saturday in Vanderbilt. So I think Music City is becoming a hotspot for college football. I think that's better. That's a lot of fun, and I think there's going to be some staying power. Why I bring this up, other than just to hype up College Game Day, is that I think you find out a lot more about a program's legitimate staying power at the top of the college football landscape and on the top of the college football food chain in games like these than you do in performances like Saturday. That was a game we all expected them to win for the most part against Mizzou team that felt like that one of those losses was coming, one of those knock them back down to size losses. This is a game that typically Texas would win. I mean, their back's against the wall. If they want any hope of making the college football playoff, they have to upset Vanderbilt on Saturday. And it feels like conventional wisdom would have me go with the Longhorns here. But to round out my whole point, I think this proves how good of a coach Clark is. I think this proves how good of a team this team really is. They've caught lightning in a bottle. I think it's going to have some continuity, and I think it's going to show on Saturday. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I guess I'm going to. The horns are down. I'm going to go with the Commodores.
And I'm going to start here.
Justin?
And I'm going to tell the Longhorns to turn that frown upside down.
Wow.
Look, part of it is because Texas proved me right against Oklahoma a couple weeks ago, which I think I was on the island for. But part of it is just look at the game. Look at the quarterback play. Diego Pavia has been a fun story, right? I think he's fun. I think he's revived Vanderbilt. But look at him. He really didn't have that good of a game against Missouri, and that is a tough Missouri defense. But this is going to be a tough Texas defense. I know they struggled against Mississippi State, but kind of an uncharacteristic performance from all things considered for this defense. Arch Manning, Josh, you said it. He almost threw for 350 yards. But, I mean, you have to look. Matthew Caldwell came in and threw that game-winning pass at the, in overtime, and you don't know which one's going to start. And I think that could hurt me because it's Monday, and by Saturday we could be looking at a Caldwell start. Then you just have to rely or attempt to rely on a running game that's had its ups and downs, coming off of another down week with just 72 yards on 32 carries. I just see this as a Texas team that's hungry. It's 3-1 in SEC play. They're still right in it for the SEC championship. They are still right in it to make the college football playoffs. Struggled against Mississippi State, but good teams find random ways to win sometimes, and they did that against Mississippi State. I have Texas upsetting Vanderbilt. Actually, it's not an upset. Texas is favored in this game, but I have Texas, I think, kind of contradicting what everyone would think here and getting the win over Vanderbilt. As fun as they've been, they're kind of like how I've always treated BYU. And I know I turned on BYU last week and picked them for once. I still can't bring myself to pick Vanderbilt in a game like this, and maybe they'll prove me wrong.
I think it's definitely interesting because I think when you look at that Mizzou game, I don't know if Vanderbilt wins if Bo Pribula doesn't get injured. I mean,
yep.
And they were inches away from having to go to overtime. I mean, I feel like that's kind of gone under the radar a little bit. Like Matt Zollers threw a bomb and it was marked down at the 1 or the half-yard line, whatever it was. I mean, Vanderbilt was that close to having to go to overtime and continue proving themselves against the Missouri team. That being said, I do think Vanderbilt, like you guys have, harped on, the story's really cool. The game day atmosphere was amazing. Obviously, I think these types of games and when you see a team and a program get revitalized, you always want to root for them. You always want to tune into those games because you never know how long they're going to be that good or that relevant. So I like what Vanderbilt's doing. However, I'm hoping Arch Manning can get his head back in the game, literally. But
that was kind of mean.
Well, okay, sorry. I hope he gets healthy because I still do like Arch. And, Matthew Caldwell, you haven't seen much from him, but I hope that he plays well. You said it when they played Oklahoma. I mean, that atmosphere is different. So give me Texas as well in this game. I'm going to ride a trend here with Vandy not having a road win against a ranked opponent since 2007. That, to me, sticks out. So hook 'em. All right, moving on to our last game. College Game Day is headed there. We're going to make the picks for it. Number 17, Cincinnati, who is not a top 25 team per Dylan Price. 7-1 this year. On the road to play Utah, who is 6-2. The Utes had to make a quarterback change, going from Dampier, who had an ankle injury, to maybe the best quarterback name in all of college football, Bird Ficklin. Amazing name. Ficklin did have a decent game. He went 10 for 22 passing for only 140 yards, but he ran 20 times for 150 yards and had a score as well, 3 total touchdowns. But on the other side, Cincinnati has Brendan Sorsby, who is in second in the Big 12 with a 172 passer rating, and the Bearcats have scored 37 or more in 4 of their 5 contests. So with that being said, Josh, who is your pick?
This is going to be a fun one. I still think College Game Day should have gone to Navy in North Texas. I think a few of us were kind of on that same train. I think just, mix things up, get a group of 5 game in there. Really should have been at Memphis USF the week prior, if we're being honest. But that's neither here nor there. Regardless, this will be a fun one. I really, really am still very high on this Utah team. I'm also very high on the Cincinnati team. I think that they proved me wrong last week because I picked against them. They ran up the score. They were up by like 35 at one point early in that contest against Baylor. But Baylor did almost make a comeback because of Sawyer Robinson. Regardless, I don't know if it really matters who's at quarterback for Utah, if it's Evan Dampier, if it's their backup. I can't pick against this Utah team. Their 2 losses, that was a much closer game against Texas Tech. I've said it a couple times. That game was pretty close up until midway through that 4th quarter where Texas Tech got touchdown, then a turnover, then a touchdown, and back and forth. And then the other losses to BYU, who is now in the AP poll a top 10 team, in our poll close to a top 10 team as well. So I think that Utah's got really, really good losses. I think this being at home helps them as well. And I can't go against the Utes. I've been on their train a lot this year. I know Dylan's been on their train since week 1. So I was a little bit late to that train, but I'm going to go with Utah on this one.
Dylan?
Listen, the fun thing about trains, man, is one, I've found 2 things about them. They're never early. I've missed 2 trains because of it.
One thing about trains,
I've ended up in different areas, but that's a story for a separate episode. And the other thing is trains have a lot of space, my friend. Choo choo. Get on this thing, man. But there's one train, though, that sadly I have joined. And for all the talk to bring this podcast from start to finish, I need to just say I apologize to Cincinnati. I apologize to the Bearcats for potentially them slipping my mind. And I apologize not to you, Justin, to the other 2 of you for missing the Bearcats and the Skyline Chili. Oh, but look at it, man.
That
It's
just does not look
that's solidified my pick word more.
It looks disgusting.
Don't eat it.
And unfortunately, I remember a Brendan Sorsby who happened to play for Indiana, and I remember a good friend of ours, Thomas English, called that game for Penn State Com Radio, and that's how I knew who Brendan Sorsby is, because some locks and or long shots lore. I lived with Thomas for 4 years, so I heard that name a lot. I heard that name a lot that week. And then I watched the game. And, well, yeah, I didn't think the guy, after he got pushed out of Indiana, I didn't know if we would ever hear the name again. But not only are we hearing the name again, I'm on the train. He is the most underrated quarterback in college football right now. He's 27 touchdowns. He is absolutely balling, and a win on the road with the national media there, which College Game Day there, with all the hype, all the pomp and circumstance, is going to vote Brendan Sorsby, I cannot believe these words are coming out of my mouth, into the Heisman conversation, because he's certainly playing like it right now. And if he can upset a team that I have certainly been all in on all year long, I love Kyle Whittingham, I love Utah, but conventional wisdom's out the door here, because conventional wisdom wouldn't have concocted this nasty creation of Skyline Chili. So I'm going against all conventional wisdom. I'm going with the flash in the pan, lightning in a bottle. I'm going with the Cincinnati Bearcats. Thomas, hit it with me one time. Bear Don.
I got to ask, have you had Skyline Chili?
Nope, never will.
Josh, Justin, have you?
Absolutely not. Never will touch it with a 10-foot pole.
It is on my list.
Off the screen.
It is on my list of things to try.
So I have tried it.
Where? Like number 300?
Bad as it looks. Like, I do not like it at all. There's too much cheese. That's another story, though. I mean,
would be the one guy on this podcast that tries Skyline Chili.
Are you lactose intolerant? Cheese is amazing. Cheese is one of the most versatile foods in the world.
We should make a food
podcast in the nation.
Justin, who'd you pick?
Yeah, I think, Skyline Chili and all, channeling your inner Pat McAfee, great stuff, Dylan. So I'm going to channel my inner Desmond, maybe Saban, maybe Kirk, and pull out the stats, right?
All three. Okay.
And now, in fairness, I love Pat, and Pat actually, right, has the best record in picks this year. I think we looked up.
So is Dylan Price number one.
54-23 unofficially.
All right. Well, guess what? Utah's offense ranks 13th in the nation in yards. They rank 5th in rushing yards, 11th in scoring. Cincinnati's defense ranks 71st in yards allowed, 77th in passing yards allowed, 64th in rushing yards allowed, and 28th in scoring allowed. Cincinnati's offense, it's good scoring-wise, 13th with 38.3, but their passing yards aren't great, their rushing yards aren't good, and their total yards really aren't that impressive, especially against a Utah defense that has allowed 285.4 yards per game to this point, which is 12th in the FBS. They've been really good against the pass, a little bit struggles against the rush, but they've been good scoring-wise too. 14.3 points allowed to this point, 9th in the nation. All of that to say that I am with Josh here on the train to Utah, which would be a really long train. I guess not from where I currently am, but from where I normally am. It is a very long train. Give me Utah here.
I was going back and forth listening to you guys, make the points and read the stats and everything. And, when I did a couple of weeks ago, I didn't pick Arizona State, and it hurt me. And then I picked Arizona State, and it helped me out. Same thing's going here. I picked Cincinnati. They helped me out. I don't know if Cincinnati can do it again, but I feel something good. I feel the Skyline Chili energy. And I'm going to ride with Dylan here. I like Cincinnati. I think they're going to firmly cement themselves inside the top 25 after this week. So give me that. And then I'll take Cincinnati this week. And that will wrap up.
That feeling about the Skyline Chili might actually be indigestion. You should probably get that checked out.
No, I'm genuinely very hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet. So
me either. Central time, baby.
And Justin has a bathtub of ice cream waiting for him.
All right, guys, can we just get to our locks and or long shots, please?
All right, Josh.
Again, not what I said.
You can go with your lock or your long shot, whichever you prefer.
I mean, this joke is great because you guys, again, weren't really listening to what I said. I am going to start with what we always start with, our lock.
Okay.
Memphis Memphis. Their one loss to UAB was the age-old thing that we always say. They get a new interim head coach and they start playing really, really well.
Word for word what I said last week. Glad you got on it this week, buddy.
Okay.
Nice mustache, by the way. We haven't talked about that enough.
Can we enough with you? Can I finish my pick for the love of Christ, Justin Tyler Chevalella?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Memphis really proved something to me last week. Not only beating USF, who I have really been, I'd say higher than the rest of you guys on for a little bit. They did that in a comeback fashion, and that was really impressive to me. I like Memphis. They're the clear front runner currently to get that group of 5 spot. I think they continue to do that this week with a big win.
What's the line?
I believe it's 13.5, so just under what I need.
Okay. So Memphis minus 13.5. Dylan?
I'm actually going with a betting underdog, but unfortunately it's not close enough for me to use it as my long shot. So I have decided that I'm going to break the rules here. I'm going to roll the dice here. I'm going to gamble a little bit here. And for the first time in locks and long shots history, I'm going with a betting underdog for my lock this week. Evan Simon has yet to turn the ball over this season. I'm going to knock on wood because I'm riding with him. Temple's at home. Temple is a win away from going bowling. And so I think they get it done. I think Temple pulls it off. I think they're going to go bowling, and I think they're going to do it with an upset win over East Carolina. I'm locking it in. I don't just think it. I lock it. It's going to happen. I got to have it.
Hey, I like it. Set the precedent for the future. Justin, go ahead.
My lock, I thought about it earlier, and then Josh threw something in my face about how UVA's only loss came at the goal line after a bad interception. And, it made me really think about this NC State team in a whole different light. Not really. Georgia Tech's favored minus 5.5 against NC State. Give me that. I don't think they're giving Georgia Tech enough points here. I would take an alternate line if I were to bet on it. I'd probably go Georgia Tech minus 8.5 in this one. I won't put that out here because then I'd be wrong. But, give me Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I don't know why it's that NC State's so bad.
That was one of them I had down. I'll go to my second option.
Too bad. Take another one.
Yeah. I feel like you always take my picks, but I like this line maybe even a little bit better. Ole Miss is only favored by 12.5 at home against South Carolina. I'm going to take that line. I like Ole Miss, obviously, at home. South Carolina, I just don't think has enough power to beat Ole Miss on the road. Josh, your long shot.
So I was going to – Justin switched his. I could go back to my original. Never mind. I was going to originally pick Duke, but then I looked in the sheet and Justin had Duke down there. And then I was going to pick I was going to pick Wake Forest, but then Dylan had it down there. So I'm going with my third option, which is Hawaii. And my reasoning is because I didn't like any other possibility. So I just picked Hawaii. So that is my reasoning and my long shot this week. Plus 2.5.
So we can skip Dylan and Justin because Josh just revealed their.
Yeah,
well, I changed mine and also. Oh wait, never mind. We're on the locks part or the long shots part. Never mind.
Yeah.
How many times you
guys can't figure out lock in.
I thought the long shot was supposed to be over 3, but I guess I'm wrong.
I'm going Wake Forest, as Josh just spoiled. So I'll keep it pretty cut and dry. I was going to go UNLV my lock, though, but I didn't want you guys to come after me again. So that's why I at least had some fun with Temple. But as Josh so nicely spoiled to everybody, my lock and or my long shot, it's my long shot.
Oh, my God. You could have explained it.
And
stop being a whiner.
My original
– okay.
My original long shot was actually going to be New Mexico playing UNLV just to make Dylan mad, but then Dylan changed his lock, and I didn't want to go with that long shot. Delaware plus 3.5 against Liberty. Don't know anything about either team, but it looks
picked them once. It worked.
It looks like one of those games that can flip easily. I just want my ice cream, guys.
Love the state of Delaware.
I'll wrap it up
quickly right now with the ice cream.
I'll wrap it up quickly.
Now it's the lake.
I'm going to take Mississippi State plus 4.5 on the road against Arkansas. I just don't think Arkansas is good
pick,
enough.
Man. If we were living in 1990,
I still can't get over this fish, man.
Is that the new Thomas Michigan State picture?
Yeah.
You mean that one?
Hey,
everyone has to have their own picture now.
I bet he caught that fish in Gainesville and or Gatorland.
I've got my selfie.
All right.
Oh,
well, that is another episode of Locks and Long Shots. A lot that we talked about this week. Hey, we're only a few weeks out from the college football playoff rankings coming out. Things are starting to heat up. I'm super excited to get into those debates because those are going to be a lot of fun. But we hope you enjoy week 10 of college football. Have a great Saturday, and we will see you next week on Locks and Long Shots or Long Shots.
Oh my God.